technology in engineering and research. And our today's speaker is Dr. Piyush Sharan. He has vast experience, more than 10 years, and he is also the professional member of IEEE, life member of ACM and IST, and he published various papers in Journal of Repute. I welcome Dr. Piyush Sharan and hand over the stage to the Dr. Piyush Sharan. Welcome, Piyush sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Imran, sir, for this welcome. Uh, it is a great privilege and honor for me to come before you all to present before you the first session of the faculty development online faculty development program on disruptive technologies in engineering and research. So I would like to thank all the organizers and the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering for organizing such an event for various teachers and faculty members of this fraternity, uh, and hope to see that you learn more about disruptive technologies in the coming lectures and from this session too. So without wasting any time further, I would like to start with my presentation. Today's presentation basically is revolving around the theme of the FDP. So the theme that has been chosen is disruptive technology. So let us understand what disruptive technology and how AI. My topic is related to artificial intelligence. So let us begin. Just a moment. Let me share my screen. Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is visible.
So today's topic that I've chosen is disruptive technologies and AI. Let us understand the flow of presentation first. It will go as under, we'll first take up the definition of disruptive technologies. Then we have a theory of digital Darwinism. Then examples of some disruptive technologies. Under these examples, we are going to study about the blockchain, Internet of Things, and AI as a disruptive technology. Then I have proposed a summary of my presentation and future scope. So let us begin by understanding the definition of disruptive technology. So as we go ahead and study about the disruptive, the meaning, the literal meaning of disruptive is very negative. Okay, so it has two meanings. Sometimes people say, why disruptive technology? When we were deciding what the topic of this FDP, there were discussions like, why are we choosing this word disruptive? It sounds so negative, but it has two meanings. One is the negative meaning. The other one is the boom or the innovation that makes the other innovations obsolete. So disruptive is very different. So according to the definition, disruptive technology is the technology that affects the normal operation of a market or an industry. It displaces a well-established product or technology, creating a new industry or market. For example, if we look behind in the time when we were used to like listen to music, okay, and earlier we used to listen to music in a very different manner using audio cassettes, okay. Then the technology that was formed was the CD, the compact discs, and they have replaced the audio cassettes. And before audio cassettes, there were spools of music, like the record that we used to have. The records we used to play on the gramophones and all. And see, technologies that are making the previous technologies obsolete is called disruptive technology. Okay, so now we are in the era of using artificial intelligence to listen to music. Now we are just ordering music on demand. Okay, we have various apps on our phones like Ghana, like Spotify, and we can demand music on on whenever we and depending on our moods, uh, we can listen to music anytime, anywhere we want. So audio cassettes have been replaced with CDs. CDs were replaced with these Apple iPods and MP3 players. So all these technologies that came has made the previous technology obsolete. MP3 music players. Okay, so now we are in a digital era where music is whenever we need, whenever we want, we can listen to music. Okay, so there are two types of technologies. A new technology can either be sustaining or disruptive. Unlike sustaining technology, which depends on the incremental improvements in the already existing technology, disruptive technologies are completely new. Disruptive technology will replace the original or the existing technology. Okay, they may not be able to fulfill the demands of the high-end market initially, but they exceed market expectations when it appears to be profitable. So these maybe some people of the are not of the digital era. Some people may be listening to records, and some people may be listening to cassettes, and some people may be listening to compact disc nowadays. But they are impacting the new generation. The disruptive technologies are impacting things. People who are ready to accept a change in their lifestyle, a change in their appearance, everything. And they are technology freaks. People who are technology freaks are welcoming disruptive technologies as a big platform. Disruptive technologies are generally originated from startups and young companies rather than the leading companies. So leading companies don't think about the customer satisfaction. Only profitable entrepreneurships and startups will think about, like the new generation, the young generation will think about entrepreneurship. They will think about what a customer of this era demands, and they will think accordingly and create a market, create new technologies. Their critical thinking allows them to disrupt technologies. They have the ability to uh, like explore and form new technologies, and their ideas are unique, they are profitable. Okay, so there is a theory of Darwin that we used to earlier have, and it used to say that the survival of the fittest. But in the digital world, there we have another definition called the digital Darwinism, where it says uh, the technologist Brian Solis, he has said that digital Darwinism is the evolution of consumer behavior when society and technology evolve faster than the ability to adapt. So we are not ready to adapt changes. Not the older generation or the section that are already using some technologies in the past. But the digital Darwinism says the evolution of society and technology and its impact on behavior, expectations, and customs. So, behavior, the evolution of society and technology is impacting on the behavior, expectations, and customs of the digital era, of the young, of the youth of this era. Okay. So there are three processes involved. Like if we used to iterate, if we are doing the same things better, this is called iteration. The process of digital Darwinism has the first step is iteration, which we are generally using. Like if we are to listen to music, we were just thinking about audio cassettes and music systems and all. But innovate if we are ready to accept a change in our lifestyle, doing new things, innovation. Okay, but disruption is doing new things that make the old ones obsolete. So today we have, if we need, earlier we used to question Google. Now we are questioning Google Assistant. All is powered by AI systems, Google Assistants, and there are other chatbots. Chatbots are there nowadays called the Amazon Alexa. All these applications are available. So There is no single way to succeed in the future. Success is dependent on a balance of iteration, innovation, and disruption. If you do not disrupt yourself, it will be a gift given to you by someone else. So, for example, earlier we used to have 2G phones. Now 3G, 4G, and now 5G phones are coming into the market. Now, if you see, if you do not disrupt yourself, or you do not innovate and make others obsolete, other technologies obsolete, then someone else will give you that technology as a gift. So now people are demanding more of 5G phones rather than 4G phones or 2G phones. 2G phones are absolutely obsolete from the market. Nobody buys the 2G phone right now. Everyone, even a rickshaw puller, has a smartphone with him that works on the 4G technology. Okay, so this is the impact of digital Darwinism. How people are getting impacted by the disruption and the disruptive technologies. Okay, so the digital Darwinism also says that it is the survival of the smartest. Earlier, Darwin's theory was the survival of the fittest, but this time we are making our machines smarter than the humans. Machines are more smart than humans. And this is what we are continuing to do. We are making our machines more smarter. Like we have our 5G phones, we have chatbots, we have Google Assistants, we have Amazon Alexa, and other Apple Siri, for example. All these are chatbots and machine. They are equipped with machine learning algorithms that are able to um, communicate and answer your queries faster than a human. Okay, anything you ask now, they are at your fingertips by asking Alexa or Google Assistant. Okay, even if you can buy goods for yourself, for the family. You can buy groceries for your families just by asking Alexa or Google Assistant or Apple Siri. They book appointments for you as well. Okay, so we are making things smarter. The disruptive technologies have taken over the market, and people are innovating, and they are making life more smarter. So examples of disruptive technology. The following are some examples of the disruptive technologies that significantly influence the future of humans. Number one is the blockchain technology. What blockchain is, it was started by in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. He was a Japanese, and he founded about the bitcoins. An algorithm. He just made an algorithm that has changed the entire banking sector. Yet to evolve in India, but blockchain technology is evolving faster because it's an algorithm. It is not a fiat currency. It is a virtual currency. Bitcoin. I'm talking about bitcoins. There are others like Ethereum, Litecoin, and Zcash. All these are cryptocurrencies, Litecoin, Zcash. All these are cryptocurrencies. By the word crypto means something that is encrypted and decrypted. So earlier we used to have a where if we think of the primitive period, there was a barter system, the barter system of exchange. Barter system means if there are two people, one is the buyer and one is the seller, and they have equal goods. Like this one has say 5 apples, and the other one has 5 oranges, and they want to exchange their goods. So they can, if the buyer wants 5 oranges from the seller, he can exchange it with his say 5 apples, but then he is at a loss. Okay, so barter system was a different, and then evolved the banking system, where it was decided that a common currency or a common mode of exchange should be evolved, like the fiat currency or the rupee, dollar, or anything of that sort. Earlier, there were gold coins. In the primitive period, there were gold coins. Then they evolved it with the minted the coins, and then the rupee came into existence. Then the system of exchange, dollars, everything like cash was into the system. Banking system was evolved by the barter system. Now banking system is being revamped. Banking system is being revamped by the blockchain technology. Now we don't intervene. Now we don't need the banks to intervene our transactions. Now transactions are much more discreet. Transactions are much more discreet. And private. Nobody can interfere like bank. No one knows where the money is coming from and where it is going. It is only between as a common uh, understanding between the buyer and the seller. They are exchanging bitcoins or Ethereum coins or Litecoins or Zcash for the purchase of goods. Okay, so this is the blockchain technology, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. So these three are the technologies that have disrupted the previous technologies in the last decade. So let us come to them one by one. As a blockchain was developed through Bitcoin for disrupting the banking sector, where ledgers are highly centralized. So banking has ledgers that are centralized. Blockchain utilizes the technology of distributed ledger. Blockchain introduces distributed ledger, and through its decentralized and cryptographic components, blockchain removes the requirement of third parties involved in financial transactions. So it removes the foundation of a banking system. Okay. So banking system has been, it will eradicate someday. We are thinking of that, but fiat coins cannot be replaced because and the securities, the like if you are buying insurance and all, so they require cash or the money that has been authenticated by the government through the RBI, for example. So the government has still not given a green signal for bitcoins or any kind of cryptocurrency. But if you see in other countries, in the European countries, even in the US, bitcoins are a mode of transaction. They are replacing fiat currencies at a very higher speed or a greater speed. Okay, so Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency that is a digital and virtual currency that was found by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009. In the following years, other cryptocurrencies were introduced as well. That includes Ethereum, Litecoin, Zcash, which I have already discussed. The decentralization, security, and transparency features of blockchain are intended to increase the security of financial transactions while reducing the hefty bank charges. So now the transaction are free from the bank charges or the tax that can be imposed by the government. So these transactions are to be replaced in the future because we want to skip these hefty bank charges, or the customers need to skip these hefty bank charges and the taxes that are imposed by the government. So the transactions become faster and free from the risk of only one point of authority. Okay. So blockchain is enabling a shift to a shared economy from the prevailing ownership economy. In a shared economy, people will be able to share resources such as a data storage, solar energy, and cars, etc. So let us see a blockchain process, how it works. The source is the Insights of India. The link has been provided. It says that if someone requests a transaction, this request transaction is broadcasted to a peer-to-peer. P2P means peer-to-peer network. Peer-to-peer network. Consisting of computers known as nodes. So these nodes, one of these nodes will validate the transaction, like the user and the amount that has to be transmitted. Like in the cryptocurrency, say suppose one Bitcoin has to be transmitted, then this validation process checks that whether the sender has that much amount of cash in its virtual wallet, because this is a virtual wallet. So whether one Bitcoin is available in the virtual wallet or not, this is validated by this peer-to-peer network of the computer system called nodes. A verified transaction can involve cryptocurrency, contracts, records, or other information. Once verified, the transaction is combined with other transactions to create a new block of data for the ledger. So uh, a new block of data is added to the chain. Okay, this is called as the blockchain. Whatever the this transaction has occurred, there are verifiers online called as the miners. They are data miners or the cryptocurrency miners. Data miners or cryptocurrency miners. And they are adding a block into this chain. So this is called a blockchain. A blockchain is a decentralized ledger of all transactions. So basically, if you see these blocks, these are nothing but a decentralized ledger. It is not centralized, but decentralized ledger of the transactions that appear across a peer-to-peer network. Using this technology, participants can confirm transaction without need for a central certifying authority. Potential applications include fund transfer, settling trades, voting, and many other uses. So blockchain technology can be used in, say, money transfer is the global money transfer. You can buy anything, sell anything, global money transfer or global money transactions. Okay. Money in the case is cryptocurrency, crypto ones. So this, after the block has been added to the chain, the transaction is considered to be complete. Okay, so this is how a blockchain technology works, and these algorithms, this is an algorithm that continuously has changed the banking system, or the users are bypassing the banking system with these technologies. Okay, and the rates is also like we can also trade at them. Trading has also started on these cryptocurrencies, where you can buy a particular amount of buy and sell cryptocurrencies for say amount in Indian rupees, or maybe in dollars. So these are trading is going on right now. All these cryptocurrencies are for sale. Okay, on various platforms like Olymp Trade and other trading apps are there, Binomo and all these apps. Okay, so blockchain has really revamped the uh, this currency scenario, the fiat currency. It will replace one day, as soon as the government gives a green signal, and they will one day give a green signal. They are in a way they are stopping this currency, but ultimately a time will come that this currency, or the cryptocurrency, will be coming into existence for Indian people as well, for the Indian democratic society. So these are some more info on the blockchain technology, how you can learn from these two videos available on YouTube. Okay, now the next technology that came into existence is the Internet of Things in the last decade. So there's a article in the Forbes magazine where they have said there has been an explosion since last year of new vendors and new applications that collect, report, and respond to information from the user's own body, a trend that is sometimes referred to as the quantified self. Things like Fitbit might not be world changing, but this field includes helpful tech like hearing aids and sleep sensors. So, IoT, or the Internet of Things, has revamped or impacted, you can say, impacted the healthcare sector big time. Healthcare sector. Okay, and this is from the year 2015. This article is from the year 2015, where they have said that there is an explosion since last year. So they are talking about 2014, uh, about the time when this article was published, and now it is 2021. Uh, Technologies in this decade has already revamped manifolds, and IoT devices have impacted the healthcare sector manifolds. Today, we rely on health bands and smartwatches and its capability to monitor our heart rates, ECG, blood pressure, sleep monitoring, SpO2 monitoring, stress level, etc. This measured data is aggregated on an app available on your smartphones, Android, iOS app, which can be used to predict your health condition, also book appointments for you with doctors and physicians to give the customer the right care at right time. So the main motive of this technology is to give right care at right time. So if a person is getting ill and if he's wearing a smartwatch that can monitor his ECG, his blood pressure, his SpO2 level, then that patient or the potential victim of some attack on his body will be easily notified, and immediately a physician or a doctor can be allotted to him or her for the right care. Okay, and at the very moment before the things get worse. Okay, so this is an article from the Times of India where it is saying that adoption of premium smartwatches is rising at a rapid pace as concerns around health grow, says IDC's analyst Jaipal Singh. Apple Series 6 watch costs upwards of rupees 41,000. Samsung Watch 3 over 30,000. Fitbit Versa 16,000. Garmin Solar Series 47,000. Companies looking to make in India, Samsung has already started Fitbit exploring. So these companies, Samsung, Apple, Garmin, Fitbit, all are looking for customer satisfaction. They are looking for customer experiences which become more important than products. Product is not important, but the customer experience is more important. Companies now have to consider how products and services enhance specific lifestyles and workflows. So IoT, they have integrated various sensors, accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetometer, then the SpO2 sensor, then the ECG sensor, heart rate monitoring. Everything is fitted in a simple watch. See, I'm also wearing a smartwatch, and it is continuously monitoring my heart rate. If you can see, monitoring my heart rate, it is giving my energy at this moment, how much energetic I am, and it is also giving me my sleep study every night. If I wear it, it gives me how much sleep have you taken in the last night, and what if there is some disorder, and it predicts that you need to sleep this many hours, this many steps you have to walk, by giving me suggestions that your weight is increasing, your body temperature is increasing. All these like sensors are sensing my body data and giving me advice of what should I do to eradicate any future problem with myself. Okay, so this is the watch that I'm talking about. This is these smart watches can be like synced with a app, mobile app. This mobile app can be used, and they can sleep duration. They can calculate sleep duration, how many times you are sleeping, and what is the duration that you were awake in your sleep. What when did you go to a deep sleep? When were you lightly sleeping, or like you were awake for that moment? So all this data is there. It can monitor your health, and it can give you suggestions to improve your lifestyle. Okay. Smartwatches are one of the disruptive innovations because of which conventional watches are slowly becoming obsolete. So now people are buying more of these smartwatches instead of the conventional watches. So you see how this technology is taking over the uh, market. It is making the traditional watches obsolete, and people are going for these digital watches, smart watches, which can even tell you about the number of steps you are walking, the energy, the heart rate, and all these physical parameters about you and your body. It will tell you what is the temperature of the outside temperature, and it will also predict. It will also show you uh, whether it is going to rain, or whether there will be a sandstorm or a This thing, any kind of climatic change, it will notify you on your mobile, on your this wristwatch, on the smartwatch. So companies are in a race to manufacture the smartest watch ever. I'm talking about the companies called Apple, Samsung, and MI, and this Fitbit. Even Amazon is also looking for some smartwatches. Amazon is also like manufactured one smartwatch. I don't know what the name, but they are there. These companies are racing to make the smartest watch. So every time, every year, or every 6 months, there is a change in the technology. So this is the power of AI and IoT. IoT, see, this is IoT where sensors are sensing data, but AI is the prediction that AI is giving about your body. Predictions. AI includes machine learning and deep learning. So these are algorithms in which sensors that are sensing the data, they are providing this data into this app. This app is aggregating these data and they are processing it. These apps are processing it and giving you meaningful predictions for your future. And they are setting targets for you. You must go for a walk, you must go for a run for 3 miles, run for 2 miles. All these suggestions are given through a AI system, artificially intelligent system, that has been incorporated in the mobile app. Okay. So the sensors in the smartwatch, there are 3 main sensors. I'm not talking about the sensors that are sensing the body temperature or the SpO2 level, but there are 3 main sensors that is majorly for motion detection: accelerometer, gyroscope, and magnetometer. The accelerometer detects changes in the device displacement, orientation, and tilt around the 3 axes by measuring the acceleration forces. Then we have the gyroscope that measures how fast the device rotates along the 3 axes. And then we have the magnetometer that measures the strength of the magnetic field around the phone, from which the phone is able to obtain its absolute direction related to the Earth's geomagnetic field. So these are the 3 sensors that are there embedded on a smartphone or a smartwatch and smart clothings. Now we have smart wearables. Yes, smart wearables. Sorry, smart wearables. Now people are discovering about wearables, T-shirts that are powered, that are solar powered T-shirts, and that can detect your body temperature, that can detect your ECG, and several other technologies are coming into market, and there are continuously research going on smart wearables. Okay, so these are sensors. Like this one is the accelerometer. This is the internal structure. Basically, this works on the principle of capacitance. These are fixed parallel plates, and there is a movable mass. This is the movable mass, and there is a change in the capacitance when there is a change in the dielectric medium. There is a change in the capacitance. Okay, so you know the formula C is equal to epsilon A upon D. Everyone knows that. So whenever there is a change in the displacement or the distance between the dielectric medium and the parallel plate, there is a change in the capacitance. This is measured. This is converted into an analog signal, and this is giving you a electrical. This is getting converted into an electrical value. Okay, this capacitance. And this will tell you about the displacement that has taken place with the smartphone or the watch or whatever the IoT device can be. It can be anything. I have taken the example smartwatches, but it can be anything where there is where it has been incorporated, like accelerometer or the gyroscope. So this has been taken from the source Hindawi. Hindawi is a publication house, and this is the link from where these images has been taken. You can check. Okay, this one is the gyroscope. This has the similar structure, but it is also based on the capacitance changing while moving the mass. So movable mass, there is a spring to allow free movement of the mass and the driving direction. So it will like gyroscope is used for the detecting the driving direction, with which direction it is moving. Okay, both these sensors are sensing the change in the direction in the IoT device. So next we are coming to the AI, the topic that I have chosen today, artificial intelligence. So let us understand what artificial intelligence is first with the definition. So artificial intelligence is a collective term for computer systems that can sense their environment, think, learn, and take action in response to what they are sensing and their objectives. So they are sensing their environment. First of all, AI is, like we have previously studied about the sensors, so it is incorporated. They are incorporating sensors, various kind of sensors are there. It's sensing the environment. It is thinking by using machine learning algorithms. Okay, it is only possible when a person tries to think, only when it has some data. Okay, when something is going, a human will start to think only when there is a issue, something to think upon. Okay, but the machines will start to think when they learn something. So they are learning, they are sensing the environment, they are thinking due to the ML algorithms or machine learning algorithms, and they are learning and taking action. They are giving advices, predictions are made, and they have also revamped the healthcare sector and many other sectors. Like we'll take up the example of this Alexa and all this now. Artificial intelligence is used in numerous applications such as fraud protection. Fraud protection in the case like cryptocurrency. Just now we have studied about the blockchain. So blockchain is now embedded with ML algorithms, and it can protect your fraud protection. It has given, uh, even if a fraud transaction takes place, you will be notified and it will be stopped. So there are various apps, various platforms available which can protect you from fraud being happening, or phishing applications can be detected. Now you get a mail. Whenever you get a mail, earlier we used to get and become a prey of the phishing emails. Phishing emails, where they ask you about the credit card numbers, your CVV numbers, your personal pins, and they can, these phishing apps and mails, especially emails, can draw your money from your account, and they can withdraw, and nobody will ever be able to trace where your money has gone. But today, if since Google has adopted this ML algorithms, where such phishing emails can already, they are already in the spam now. You don't get it in your inbox, you get it in your spam box directly. Phishing emails are always there in your spams, from where you can delete. So they are not giving the opportunity for the phishing emails or the fraudulent persons to grab the attention of the customer. They are already in the verge to hiding these emails from the customer. Okay, so Google has already done that. Many other, Yahoo has also been doing this, and Rediff Mail, all these mails have incorporated artificial intelligence. Video games are becoming much more smarter in the sense, now we have VR, AR, big terms, virtual reality, augmented reality. Virtual reality, like you are wearing an Oculus, this headgear, and you'll be seeing 3D, three-dimensional image through that Oculus vision, and it will appear that everything is like reality, but that is not reality, that is virtual. That is called virtual reality. So video games experience has been really improved through this disruptive technology of artificial intelligence. Then spam detection in emails. So we have already discussed that AI helps to streamline company operations and enhance the life of the individuals. Systems such as softbots for web support, virtual assistants like Google Assistant, I've already taken up, Apple Siri, Amazon Alexa, etc. are examples of advancements in AI and machine learning. Today we ask stupid questions to Amazon Alexa, to Apple Siri, they answer. And if you will, they are becoming intelligent. Believe me, they are becoming intelligent each and every day because they are listening to your questions, listening to your queries, and recording them. Google is recording each and every question that you are asking the Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa, Apple Siri, and they are creating a huge database of the queries made by the individuals. And this data is that you can say as a big data. They will be sources of information or sources of artificial intelligence, sources of becoming smart technologies. They will teach, they will learn. These machines, these soft bots will learn, and they will revamp themselves. They will be able to answer smart questions in the future. Now in the future, if you ask Amazon Alexa that, well, Alexa, please tell me what is my heart rate, and if you are wearing such an IoT device on your hand, it will see. My Alexa is something she's saying. Okay. But you know, they will answer your queries, they will answer your smart questions in the future. And this is going to happen because of the advancements of the AI and machine learning. Okay. AI has enabled the tracking of online food orders by estimating the time of arrival using GPS enabled tools. So now we have uh, maps, Google Maps, and other GPS location tracking apps that are available, that are integrated with these food orders apps, these online food ordering apps like Zomato and Swiggy, and they are continuously tracking the delivery valet, the valet who is bringing your food, who has been assigned the job to deliver your food at your home, at your convenient place. You are able to track him through Google Maps. All these apps are integrated to form a new app called Zomato, Swiggy, where GPS location are being continuously tracked of these delivery valet who is being tracked continuously through his mobile phone through the GPS location tracker. And this is integrating each day. This is the power of AI and mobile assisted apps. This is the power of AI and mobile assisted apps using GPS locations. So coming moving further, such AI-enabled chat box and soft bots helps you get answers to your questions, take requests, and make lives easier and more efficient. Today we are not realizing. Today we are not realizing what we are making these systems. We are making this chat box. We are making this soft bots intelligent by asking our queries, because these queries will help them understand, build their own brains. They will start building their brains. Today we are not realizing, but Google, even this big company name is HIL, Human in the Loop, Hadoop, all these companies that are working with the big data, they are continuously revamping the AI systems. They are making our queries more and more usable by the machines. So they can learn new things. Machines are learning each day. Artificial intelligence discovers an individual's preferences by collecting data from products purchased. So whenever you purchase a product online, you start getting uh, even if you just search, if you search anything on the Google, it will start giving you advertisements of related products. If you search for an iPhone, it will start giving you like this suggestions. It will start giving you suggestions to buy accessories for a particular iPhone model that you have searched just now. Search histories, they even search histories, and they can make out what character you are holding. So they start giving you suggestions based on your character. Even some nudity, some pornographic images are also coming these days on your phones, on maybe somebody else's phone, but they are there. People, they these soft bots, these chat box, and these AI enabled systems, big data, Google, and they are making things possible. You are start getting the suggestions from various platforms of accessories or anything related to the product you have just searched. Okay. So Google is building an algorithm that enables AI to learn driving through experience. Have you ever realized that there will be self-driving cars in the future? It is there. Already been into research. This is being researched. People in the US have already started researching on self-driving cars and autonomous cars, and you just have to sit back and relax. The drivers, the AI systems, the machines will take. You just have to feed your destination, and it will take you wherever you want to go. Okay. And this will be integrated into self-driving cars and vehicles. But eventually, these are programmed machines and are likely to make mistakes. So yes, they are machines, and they are likely to make mistakes. Okay, machines are what? They are programmed. Even a small glitch can cause a mistake, and it can cause huge loss to the owners, to the people who are who are driven in these cars or vehicles, self-driven cars. So accidents can take place because they are using all calculations. And this is called computational intelligence. AI with computational intelligence are making these machines like intelligent enough to take decisions. But what if a small child is who is crossing a road, maybe it cannot detect sometime, and it will just ignore the small child who is crossing the road and just ram him up or her up, and this can possible. This is possible. So we have to make intelligent decisions, and how much intelligence should be programmed in a machine, that should be our prime agenda. So one cannot fully rely on them, and this is a cause of concern and fear to adopt this technology at a larger scale. So in a country like India, where you can imagine the density of traffic, the traffic density at various crossings, and you can imagine if the conventional drivers or the humans are being replaced by these autonomous vehicles or the self-driven cars, then how much loss are we going to suffer? Because these intelligent machines may or may not take wise decisions, because they have the ability to decide. Sometimes uh, they will not be able to decide whether to save a human or not. They will not be able to decide. Okay, so we need to understand how much intelligence should be programmed in a machine, so that they do not replicate themselves. Okay, so let us view some examples from here on. I have given some unique names. So I have already discussed this example of artificial intelligence. Alexa, is my pulse rate normal? It doesn't speak. Intelligent attendants such as Microsoft Cortana. This is new, as recently launched Microsoft Cortana, and Google Now, Amazon Alexa, Apple Siri will become staples in how people navigate life and work. Very soon, the complicated and often silly questions you ask of Alexa and Siri will be answered. This is what I was discussing. So silly questions will also be answered, because they will become so intelligent, because they want the customer to be satisfied. So they will look for answers of your query, and one day you will get the answer. You will be taken aback for a split second, and then you will go on as if you couldn't have lived without it. So this time is going to come soon. You cannot live without Alexa, you cannot live without Apple Siri, you cannot live without Cortana, you cannot live without Google Assistant. This will be a future, and maybe it may be taken as a mockery as of now, but it will be there. Okay. Jarvis, have you heard about the name Jarvis? Because it was a soft bot in the movie Iron Man. I hope most of you must have seen Iron Man movie. And Jarvis is a like soft bot who was taking instructions from this Iron Man and doing things whatever is being said. And OK Google is the Google Assistant. Okay, Chatbots and a dash of human interaction turn messaging into concierge services, aka virtual assistant, and eventually predict services that simplify everything from search to shopping to travel to customer service. You can even update your shopping bag, your on your e-commerce website. You can add items, add items in your e-commerce app, whatever app you are using. Maybe it's Amazon, maybe it's Flipkart, maybe it's some other app, Healthcart or whatever. You can add items, purchase by just giving instructions. You just have to instruct these soft bots and chat bots, and they will buy things for you using your credit card, using your login credentials from the banks, and they will be in the, this is there already, people are using it for such things. Then drones join the frontline workforce. This is again a tagline that has been given by me. Drones will give frontline workers were the doctors, okay, frontline workers. As in the pandemic we have seen, frontline workers are the people who are in the medical fraternity. Drones will continue to revolutionize photography and videography, but real innovation will derive from utility in vertical applications such as delivery, care, and exploration. So here you can see that this image is created from Elic Momont. It is available online, and this image you can see a drone is taking an ECG of a man who has fell down. Maybe he has suffered some heart attack, or maybe some sort of illness that he has suffered, and this drone is measuring its physical parameters like ECG or whatever. And they are going to revamp the healthcare sector. Drones will soon be able to deliver medicines, will soon be able to deliver food items, will soon be able to deliver humans from one place to another. Okay. Sit back and relax. I have already taken up this example where autonomous vehicles are there. By the year 2025, you can see you may already own your last car. Autonomous vehicles will start to make their way onto public roads as laws rapidly iterate to make way for the inevitable. Version 1.0 will be very beta, with initial cars shipping with steering wheels and require drivers to take a back seat. So we will have to take a back seat. We will not be in the front row. The machines will drive. The steering will move automatically. Fully autonomous self-driving cars will be on the roads by 2025. Cars will learn not only how to drive, but also how to limit or strategically consider accidents, injuries, and even death of passengers, drivers, and pedestrians. So this is just a prediction. And this image credit is from Infrastructure USA. A stitch in time saves 9. So intelligent transportation. A stitch in time, what this idiom means, it means that if you rectify a mistake on time, it will save energy or save your time in getting things worse. Okay, so you need to rectify things before it has gone worse. Rectify any mistakes. So this idiom says that, and you can see we have got Tesla over here. Tesla cars are being charged. These are the supercharger stations. Supercharger stations are there that are going to charge electric vehicles. Now it is the era of EVs, electric vehicles. Then we will have hyperloops. Hyperloops is just like I'm sorry. It is a mode of transportation. It will move in the very high speed, and these hyperloops can take a large number of people to long connected tubes. Okay. So you can say it is a mode of transportation from one place to another in tubes. These vehicles will be moving in tubes through air pressure, or say maybe through the pressure of liquid flowing through those tubes. Okay, so maybe some turbine is there and they'll move faster in the liquid or water that has been flowing in the tubes. Intelligent transportation not only changes how people, goods, etc. get from point A to point B, but also how vehicles and technology talk to one another to create a safer passageways. Each will also transform regulation to expedite a connected grid where transportation, engineering, and infrastructures, as well as vehicles, gear, components, etc., work together. So we have transportation, engineering, and infrastructure taking all three components have been taken care simultaneously. We are going to revamp, like we have revamped the way we commute in Delhi, in the metro cities that we are having metro trains right now. Overhead trains are there, buildings are being created, underground stations are being created. All these technologies are going to change time and how we commute from one place to another. And these hyperloops will detect hyperloops or metro stations or Tesla cars. They'll be working on the AI system. How? Because they will take up just the destination where you need to go, and just you have to sit back and relax. All the destinations, they will make you reach on time. They will, if the charging is going down, they will stop at a station and charge themselves and then allow to move further. Okay, so these are technologies that have been revamped. Then experience get real virtual. I was just talking about the virtual reality. Now this is a suit which you wear, and you wear this Oculus, this helmet, HoloLens. The HoloLens is the lens that is using hologram. Magic Leap are bringing the virtual world to life. So you wear this helmet and this suit, this virtual reality suit, and you can experience yourself in a game. It will be so virtual that you will feel that you are being getting hit, you are being getting in a particular game. It will be as real as possible for you. So this suit and this helmet combined together will give you a real-time experience in a virtual world. Okay, so VR and augmented reality are not the future, but they are the present. Okay, so moving ahead, fashion sense get smart. Intelligent smart fabrics, e-textiles, making clothes more fashionable or useful. So these clothes, these smart clothes will be able to, they will be equipped with many types of sensors. Okay, integrated into one larger garment can tell different stories and unlock new possibilities. So you just have to wear a smart wearable wearable T-shirt or pant or anything, and it will sense your body. This is known as body area network. When body area network or bands, body area networks. So these smart wearables, they get integrated. They are going to sense your body temperature, physical parameters of your body, like ECG, and heart rates, and other body temperatures, and all those parameters that are required. Even head gears will be there that can sense your if there any sort of epilepsy or any kind of brain seizure is going on in your brain. Okay, so they'll be detecting all sorts of physical parameters about your body. Okay, and they can predict when you're going to fall or when you're going to get ill. Clothes will have beacon-like technology to control informed surroundings. Clothing articles will transform based on environment and activities. So they'll be like smart T-shirts that can be able that will be able to change colors. Say if you are in a boardroom in a meeting, it will become it will give you a feel of like you're wearing a formal shirt, and suppose you are wearing the same T-shirt or same shirt in in some hotel or some casual place of work, then it will again change as per the requirements. So it will sense people around you. If they all of them are dressed formally, it will be appearing as formal. It will appear formal. and if everybody is dressed informal, it will change into an informal kind of a t-shirt or a wearable thing. So through Bluetooth technology, clothing will communicate body status to core devices that track performance, state, etc. for you and your healthcare provider. So today we rely mainly on the internet providers, but in future there will be healthcare providers as well. So your healthcare provider will have the information about your health. It will predict that you have not taken your medicine. It will inform you that you must take the medicine at this point of time, otherwise you will get ill, and all sorts of information will be given to you through SMS, through mobile apps, through smart wear technologies and all. Everything will be integrated through AI. So you see, in a way making we are making ourselves dumb, but our machines smarter. Okay, so this is the main cause of concern. Then, as I've said, that artificial intelligence has revamped the medical sector or the healthcare sector. We will be having nanobots or robots that are of the nano scale, and they will be at our rescue. These nanobots will be able to assess and fix us from within. Those made from our own DNA will eventually help cure us from deadly diseases ranging from blocked arteries to cancer. Okay, so these nanobots will cure us from within. Research has also been going in on this sector as well, where nanobots have been created, and their efficiency has been tracked, whether they are able to detect cancerous cells, whether they are able to open arteries that are blocked. So all these researches are going on in the medical field through AI and machines. Okay. So coming to the summary of disruptive technology, so we of this presentation, disruptive technology is a technology that affects the way businesses, consumers, or industries function. Disruptive technology generally attracts a limited audience, performance issues, and unproven practical applications. Artificial intelligence, virtual or augmented reality, Internet of Things, blockchain technology, and e-commerce are some of the disruptive technologies significantly influencing the future. So they are influencing the present and they will influence the future as well. So both things will go hand in hand. Let us come to the future scope. People fear of the consequences of adapting technology in their daily routine. In the future, if we survive this pandemic, and as per the estimation, at least 2/3 of the world population will survive, then we are going to rely more on the machines. So more things on the machine, more efforts, machines that are super smart and self-upgrading, intelligent ones with high-end AI algorithms like machine learning and deep learning algorithms. It is my prediction that there will be a war between man and machine soon in the future. It may sound fictitious and may also be taken as a mockery, but I must recollect that every invention was a mockery in the past before it was actually evolved. So with this note, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to me very patiently, and hope that you must have gained some insight. I would request Dr. Imran to take up the session.
Thank you, sir. If anybody has any question,
Yes, any queries? Yeah, anybody has any query related to my presentation? I can see one hand raised by Poonam, Dr. Poonam or whatever. Poonam Sangwan. Yes, feedback form has been shared, so you can fill the details. Kuldeep Kumar, sir, you have any query?
No, so thanks a lot, you sir. Thanks for your nice and informative session.
Thank you, sir.
And from my behalf, as well as Department of Electronics and Communication and Integral University, I thank you very much for this nice presentation. Thanks the participation, all the participants for patience listening. Please fill the feedback. It is for the basically for the attendance purpose. All the participants are requested to fill the feedback, which is in the chat box. Link is given. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir.
So should I end the session?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure, sure, sir.
Okay.